Every great fortune that is lost twice. First, it is dissolved on the balance sheet, a visible, often catastrophic event. But long before that, it was lost in the mind of its owner. It was corroded by a series of hidden, toxic beliefs. Welcome to the second chapter of The Alchemist's Ledger, the Formula of Dissolution. Before we can build, we must first purify. In this video, we will identify the 7 great mental poisons, the toxic mindsets that are the true architects of financial ruin. These are the silent habits of thought that guarantee mediocrity and turn generational wealth back into dust. You can expect this to be a mirror, a diagnostic tool. As we explore each of these 7 mindsets, from the ego of the gambler to the anchor of pride, I want you to look for their reflection in your own thinking. By recognizing these patterns, you can neutralize their venom and finally prepare your mind to become a true vessel for lasting wealth.
The first and most seductive poison is the ego of the gambler. This is the mindset that masterfully confuses the slow, deliberate work of investing with the adrenaline-fueled act of betting. On the surface, they can look identical, a click of a button, a transfer of capital, but internally, they are worlds apart. The difference is the answer to a single critical question. Are you seeking a financial return, or are you seeking an emotional thrill? The gambler is addicted to the thrill of being right. They crave action. They check their phone every 5 minutes, not out of diligence, but for a hit of dopamine. They are drawn to the siren song of the hot stock, the volatile cryptocurrency, or the speculative venture, not because the fundamentals are sound, but because the story is exciting. Their research is not a deep dive into balance sheets, but a shallow scan of headlines and social media hype, searching for confirmation of the story they so desperately want to believe. And here is the psychological trap that ensnares them. When a bet pays off, the gambler doesn't feel relief. They feel genius. A dangerous surge of euphoria confirms their brilliance, pushing them to take even greater, more reckless risks. They mistake luck for skill. But when a bet sours, it is not a financial loss, it is a personal insult. Their ego is wounded, and it demands revenge. They double down, throwing good money after bad, not out of strategy, but out of a desperate emotional need to win it back from the market that wronged them. The true alchemist use this with a quiet pity. They know they are not a gambler in a casino, they are a farmer in a field. They plant seeds in the fertile soil of undervalued assets, they nurture them with patience. They understand that the harvest is determined by the seasons and the quality of the soil, not by the frantic pulling of a slot machine lever. Their satisfaction comes not from the rush of a single jackpot, but from the quiet, immense fulfillment of watching an entire orchard grow over a lifetime. The gambler cannot tolerate this patient, boring process. Their ego demands entertainment. And you must understand this, the market is the greatest entertainer on earth. It offers a spectacular show of drama, hope, and despair, 24 hours a day. But the price of admission is always your capital. The market's true business is the slow, methodical transfer of wealth from the gambler to the farmer. And the ego of the gambler is the poison that willingly signs you up for that transfer.
The second poison is the fear of the herd. To understand this poison, you must first understand a fundamental truth of human survival. For 100,000 years on the plains of the savannah, the single most dangerous thing you could do was to be alone. To be separated from the tribe was a death sentence. Safety was in the center of the herd. This instinct is burned into our DNA. It is a primal, powerful force that screams at us, "Do not be left behind." In the modern financial world, this life-saving instinct becomes a wealth-destroying curse. It begins subtly. You're at a holiday party, a barbecue, a family gathering. Everyone is talking about it. A new stock, a new technology, a new asset that only seems to go up. They speak of their effortless profits. They look like geniuses. You, who have been following a slow, deliberate strategy, start to feel a frantic, electric anxiety. It's the fear of missing out. The whisper in the back of your mind starts to grow. Am I the only one who doesn't see it? Am I the fool for being so cautious? The whisper becomes a roar. the pressure to conform, to join the winning team becomes immense, and so you buy. You buy not because you have studied the balance sheet, not because you have a 10-year thesis on the asset, but because you want to silence the anxiety of being left behind. You have just taken your first step into the center of the herd precisely when it is most crowded and therefore most dangerous. Then, the cycle inevitably turns. The headlines that once celebrated the boom now scream of the bust. The pundits on television who looked euphoric now look grave. The friends who spoke of their easy profits are now silent. The market is a sea of red arrows. And that same primal instinct flips with terrifying violence. The fear of missing out is replaced by the raw, visceral terror of total loss. Your mind is no longer a tool for analysis. It is a klaxon alarm shrieking, "Get out, save what's left." The herd is stampeding for the exit. And so, you sell. You sell not because the long-term value of the asset has fundamentally changed, but to make the pain stop. You sell at the point of maximum pessimism, crystallizing your loss and transferring your wealth to those who were waiting for this very moment. Because the alchemist, the true investor, operates on a different plane. They see the herd not as a source of safety, but as a powerful signal. They understand that the herd is always in the middle, but catastrophically wrong at the extremes. They use the emotions of the crowd as a contrary indicator. When the party is at its loudest and the last skeptic has capitulated, they're not buying, they are quietly selling their holdings to the euphoric crowd. And when the streets are filled with panic and the news declares the end of the world, they are not selling, they are calmly consulting their research and beginning to buy the world's greatest assets from the terrified herd at prices they haven't seen in a decade. To follow the herd is to guarantee yourself a return of the average at best, and catastrophic loss at worst. The path to building a true, lasting fortune is often a profoundly lonely one. It requires the courage to stand still when the herd is stampeding, and the conviction to walk confidently into the storm when everyone else is running for shelter.
The third poison is the impatience of the amateur. This is not a simple flaw of character. It is a cognitive itch, a constant gnawing anxiety that whispers a single destructive lie into your ear. It's not working fast enough. This poison turns the act of investing from a peaceful process of cultivation into a frantic race against an imaginary clock. The amateur feels this viscerally. They make a sound, prudent investment, a solid index fund, a blue chip stock, and then they begin the ritual of self-torture. They check their portfolio 10 times a day. They see the siren song of a speculative stock doubling in a week and feel a surge of envy and regret. They see their own investment grow by a mere fraction of a percent and feel the existential dread that they are falling behind, that they have made a mistake. Their impatience makes them blind to the most powerful force in the financial universe. To understand this, you must know the parable of the Chinese bamboo tree. When the farmer plants the seed of this remarkable tree, he waters it diligently. For the first year, nothing happens. There is no visible growth. He waters and fertilizes it for a second year, and nothing happens. The third year, nothing. The fourth year, still nothing. His neighbors, who planted fast-growing annual crops, mock him for his foolishness and his empty field. By all outside appearances, his efforts are a complete failure. Then, in the fifth year, something extraordinary happens. The bamboo tree breaks through the ground, and in a period of just 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet into the air. The question is, did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow in 5 years? The answer is 5 years. For 4 years, while the world saw nothing, the tree was building a vast, complex, and powerful root system beneath the surface, a foundation strong enough to support the explosive growth that was to come. This is the I get it moment. Your investment portfolio is the Chinese bamboo tree. The consistent, boring contributions you make are the watering and fertilizing. The 4 years of seemingly no progress is the slow, silent, invisible magic of compound interest building your capital base, your root system.
The impatience of the amateur is the mindset that digs up the seed in year 3 because it hasn't seen a tree yet, destroying the very foundation that was being built. The alchemist understands this. They find peace in the process of building the root system. They know that the most powerful work is done in silence and is invisible to the untrained eye. They're not waiting, they're cultivating. They're content to look foolish to their neighbors for a few years because they know they are not planting an annual crop. They're growing a forest. The impatience of the amateur is a self-inflicted theft of a magnificent future traded for the fleeting relief of a mediocre present.
The fourth poison is the myopia of the speculator. Myopia is the clinical term for nearsightedness. It is a defect of the eye that prevents you from seeing distant objects clearly. In finance, it is a defect of the mind. It is a form of mental tunnel vision that prevents you from seeing beyond the current quarter, the current news cycle, the current price on the screen. The speculator is addicted to the immediate, and this addiction renders them blind to the vast horizon of real wealth. To understand this, imagine 2 sea captains embarking on a long voyage across a vast ocean. The first captain is the speculator. He stands at the very bow of the ship, clinging to the railing, his eyes fixed on the waves immediately in front of him. His entire reality is the chaotic, unpredictable dance of the water. A large wave rises, a bad quarterly report, and he frantically turns the wheel to avoid it. A strong gust of wind blows, a positive news headline, and he changes course to catch it. He is constantly reacting, his hands white-knuckled on the wheel, his heart racing with the anxiety of the immediate. He is incredibly busy, constantly turning, constantly adjusting. He mistakes this frantic activity for progress, but in reality, he is utterly lost, sailing in circles, a prisoner of the temporary weather.
The second captain is the alchemist. He is not at the bow, he is on the bridge, calm and composed. He is not looking down at the waves, he is looking up, and he is looking at his map. His map is his deep, fundamental research into his assets, the companies he owns, the land he holds. His map shows him the true underlying value of his holdings. And the things he looks up at are the stars, the great, silent, unmoving constellations of history and human nature. He knows that human beings will always need to eat, to communicate, to build. These are his stars, the timeless principles that guide his journey. When the same large wave, the bad quarterly report, hits his ship, he sees it, he feels it, but he does not panic. He glances at his map and at the stars. Have they changed? Has the fundamental value of his company disappeared? Have the timeless principles of human need been repealed? No. He understands the wave is just weather, a temporary, insignificant event in the context of a decade-long voyage. He holds his course steady and true, his eyes fixed on the distant destination. The speculator navigates by the waves. The alchemist navigates by the stars. The waves are the noise, the daily chatter, the fleeting emotions of the market. The stars are the immutable truths of value, time, and human behavior. The myopia of the speculator is the act of abandoning the map for the thrill of the storm. It is the poison that convinces you to trade the destination for the distraction, ensuring you remain forever lost at sea.
The fifth, and perhaps most costly poison, is the anchor of pride. This is the most insidious of all the mindsets because it masquerades as a virtue. It disguises itself as loyalty, as conviction, as steadfastness. But in reality, it is nothing more than the ego's terror of being proven wrong. This poison is the little voice in your head that, when faced with a losing investment, refuses to accept reality. To understand its power, imagine you are the captain of a great ship, and your investment is your voyage. Your research was impeccable. Your thesis was brilliant. This ship, you told yourself, is unsinkable. Then you feel a shudder. The ship has struck something unforeseen. A small, almost imperceptible leak has begun. Your instruments, the stock charts, the quarterly reports, are telling you that you are taking on water. The prideful captain's ego immediately rushes to the bridge. It silences the alarms. It whispers, "Do not panic. This is a temporary storm. The ship is sound. My calculations were correct. To abandon ship now would be to admit failure to the world. We will hold our course. We will be vindicated." And so,
Chained to the bridge by the anchor of pride, the captain ignores the mounting evidence. The small leak becomes a gaping hole, the ship lists, the decks flood, and still he holds. He would rather go down with the ship, a martyr to his own brilliance, than admit the voyage was a mistake. Now, imagine the alchemist that's captain. The ship strikes the same object. The same leak begins. The alchemist receives the same data, but their reaction is completely different. There is no emotion. There is no ego. There is only a cold, hard assessment of the facts. The original hypothesis that this voyage was safe has been proven false by new information. The mission is no longer to reach the original destination. The mission has changed. The new mission is to preserve the crew and the cargo, the capital. And so the alchemist gives a clear, unemotional order: abandon ship. They deploy the lifeboats, save the cargo, and watch from a safe distance as the failed vessel sinks beneath the waves. They have taken a loss, yes, but it is a small, controlled loss. Their capital is safe, ready to be deployed on a new, more seaworthy vessel. Selling a losing investment is not an admission that you were stupid. It is a declaration that you were smart enough to change your mind when presented with new evidence. The act of selling is a tool, the most important tool a captain has. It is the surgical removal of a cancer before it spreads. It is the pruning of a dead branch so the tree can grow stronger. The anchor of pride convinces you that this tool is a symbol of your failure. The alchemist knows it is a symbol of their discipline. They know that the only way to sail toward a prosperous future is to have the courage to cut the anchor that chains you to a failing past.
The sixth poison is the illusion of complexity. This is the most insidious trap set by the modern financial world, and it is designed to prey on a single, deep-seated human fear: the fear of looking stupid. The industry has built an empire on a simple, unspoken lie: that if something is complicated, it must be sophisticated, and if you don't understand it, you are the one who is lacking. To see through this illusion, you must understand the story of two watchmakers. Imagine you are looking to buy a fine watch, a legacy piece. You enter the workshop of the first watchmaker. The room is a chaotic marvel. Gears are scattered everywhere, complex astronomical charts cover the walls, and the watchmaker himself speaks in a dizzying whirlwind of impenetrable jargon. He presents you with his creation. This, he says, is the chronosyncratic Tourbillon 7000. It features a gyroscopic escapement, quad-axial rotation, and a thermocompensated isochronal oscillator.
You are lost. You are intimidated. You nod along, pretending to understand because you don't want to appear foolish. The watch is a tangled web of visible gears and dials, a spectacle of complexity. The price is astronomical, justified, he explains, by its incredible sophistication. You leave feeling impressed, but also confused, and a little bit smaller. Then you enter the workshop of the second watchmaker. The room is the opposite. It is clean, minimalist, and perfectly ordered. On a simple velvet cloth sits his creation. The watch is elegant, simple, with a clean face and 3 perfect hands. You ask him to explain it. He picks it up and says, a watch has 3 jobs. It must capture energy, regulate its release with perfect consistency, and display the result honestly. This watch does those 3 things with fewer parts, made of better materials than any other. It is simple, so it is reliable. It is honest, so it is beautiful. It will tell the time perfectly for your great-grandchildren. That is all it needs to do. The first watchmaker is the modern financial industry. The second watchmaker is the alchemist. The financial industry sells you the chronosyncratic tourbillon, the convoluted hedge fund strategy, the synthetic collateralized debt obligation, the structured note with a 100-page prospectus. They use the language of complexity to justify their exorbitant fees, and to make you feel that you need them, the high priests of a secret knowledge. The alchemist, the true investor, seeks out the second watch. They look for the simple, powerful, and honest business model. Warren Buffett once explained his investment in Coca-Cola by saying it costs a penny to make, they sell it for $1, it's addictive, and it's available all over the world. That is the genius of the second watchmaker. The illusion of complexity is a poison that convinces you to trade your common sense for someone else's jargon. The alchemist knows that true genius is not found in making things complicated. It is found in the ruthless, brilliant, and courageous pursuit of simplicity.
The final and most corrosive poison is the poison of entitlement. If the other 6 mindsets are diseases that can cripple a fortune, this is its terminal cancer. It is the silent, slow-acting agent that rots a dynasty from the inside out, often leaving a hollow shell that collapses generations after the poison first took hold. Entitlement is the mindset that believes wealth is a right, not a responsibility. It is the end result of forgetting the struggle that built the fortune in the first place. To understand its devastating power, you must understand the parable of the Great Fire. Imagine the founder of a dynasty, the first generation. In the freezing cold of a dark wilderness with nothing but an axe and a flint, they toiled. They chopped the wood, they gathered the kindling, and through sheer force of will, they shielded a tiny, fragile spark until it grew into a small, life-giving flame. For years, they tended this flame, adding logs, protecting it from the wind and rain, until it became a great, roaring bonfire that could warm their entire family and light up the darkness for miles around. This fire is their fortune. The second generation is born into the warmth of this fire. They did not have to chop the wood or face the cold. They have only ever known the light and the comfort. Then comes the third generation, the one most susceptible to the poison. They arrive to find the magnificent bonfire, and they believe it is a permanent feature of the landscape, like a mountain or a river. They believe its purpose is to serve them. They warm their hands, they enjoy the light, and they are content. But they do not bring any wood.
And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the fire begins to shrink. The great logs are consumed, turning into glowing embers. The heat lessens, the light recedes. The entitled heir looks at the dying fire with a sense of confusion and betrayal. They complain about the quality of the wood their grandfather used. They blame the cold wind. They cannot comprehend why the fire, which has always been there, is now failing them. The alchemist, the custodian, arrives at the same fire, but they see it with different eyes. They do not see a source of comfort. They see a profound responsibility. They understand the fundamental physics of fire. It requires constant fuel. It is a process, not a permanent state. Their first instinct is not to warm their hands, but to pick up the axe. They understand that their sacred duty is not merely to enjoy the fire, but to go out into the cold wilderness and gather more wood, to make the fire even bigger and brighter for the generation that will follow them. Wealth is not a pile of gold. It is a fire. It requires constant energy, constant vigilance, and constant work to sustain it. Entitlement is the poison that convinces you that the fire will burn forever on its own. It is the passive, consumptive mindset that warms itself by the flames while the fuel turns to ash. The custodian knows the truth. Every generation must be a fire builder, or they will be the ones left to shiver in the silent, cold darkness of a forgotten legacy.
These are the 7 great dissolvents, the mental acids that corrode the vessel of wealth. By recognizing them, by holding them up to the light of your own awareness, you render them powerless. The purification is the essential first step. Thank you for joining us inside CapitalSanctum. Now that the vessel is pure, we can begin the work of creation. In our next chapter, we will explore the formula of coagulation, the alchemical process of forging your first truly invincible asset from the raw elements of the market. To continue your journey, subscribe to CapitalSanctum and gain access to the principles that are not shared with the outside world.